through. That was going to be my big focus. Which one of these mid lane champions are we willing to give up here in this draft, with BLG getting first pick in Game 4?
Here's the thing. It's good. It's a good pick for Karis, obviously. Maybe his most comfortable champ. But Knight can play it as well, right? And he has answers to it, like the Galio that has not been selected either. Very much a situation where BLG feel like they have the advantage over what they want to do. They can either steal away the Akali or have a good answer into it.
And we wanted to see depth from Team WE. We have seen that, I think, consistently with the Nefiri in game number 1. Then we're bringing out Ashe Lulu in game 2. We're having Nidalee in game 3. We are getting depth here. The Mbessa that has eluded this entire series finally makes her appearance here in game number 4, and it is going to be a blind here for Bin.
Bin 4-0 this season on Mbessa, 8-0 on it throughout his career, or at least throughout this season. He has really dominated on this pick. Even with the recent nerfs, there's still opportunities for this to be a very valuable pickup for him, or maybe for Shun as well. The response for WE, going to go maybe for a little bit of a safer option down in the bottom lane. About an Erha had a tough go of things in Game 3. The Jhin going to at least provide value regardless of if he's dead or not.
Look, this just is this is going to play a sort of similar style to what we saw from the Ashe, which is allow for other people on the team to carry while also still being a consistent damage threat later on into the game. 4 items, Jhin is one of the best, in my opinion, the best AD carry once we get later on, once he gets those big crit items later. And a Nico means that there are very few matchups that he is going to lose out on with this 2v2. So BLG, are they going to continue focusing the jungle matchup, then play this mid jungle, or are we going to be looking for a pivot? Cassiopeia has been kind of the de facto mid laner now with DFT and the buffs that they gave her.
It's interesting to see that one blind. Normally it's been an answer into something like the Rise, but it's going to be for Knight right now on its own. And that is an immediate Trundle slam for Shun as well. We were waiting to maybe see this get picked up for Monki, but BLG is certainly playing the fearless game, and it'll be Karis locking in the Akali on the other side.
What other answers does Monki have? Not gonna lie, Grapes, I would not be too shocked to see a Lilia this game, but I will hold my tongue.
That would be into this top side. Yeah. You're getting me excited right now, man.
A lot of pick here for BLG. It is going to be coming down to Pillar plus Public Execution, and Cassiopeia can do a lot of great things, but similarly, a little bit of mobile, suddenly a Pop Blossom, a Perfect Execution coming in from Karis. Make things a bit spicy here for Team WE. The laning phase is going to be incredibly important, especially for this mid lane. We've seen Cassio Akali go both ways, and I tend to favor the Cassio, but I'm also a bit of a greedier player. I do like playing lanes that are going to scale.
You need very good miasma timing on Knight to be able to make sure that all the multitude of dashes that Karis has are not used in the correct way. So very much a skill matchup. Both of these players comfortable on their respective picks, so really will come down to who is better in this specific game. Final ban for BLG on the way, already banning away the Yorick for Q, which would be a nice answer into the Mbessa.
Getting rid of Yorick? I mean, there's not a lot of answers that we have seen traditionally into the Mbessa now. Wukong is interesting. Wukong feels a bit slow, so I don't know if this is BLG, you're just trying to get rid of the strong team fighters that are left. But looking at what Cube has, you could just play the Aatrox. You could also just play Gragas or the Shen. Shen has a lot more dueling power into the Mbessa, so kind of makes sense to see that here. Would give them also great team fighting later.
A flex pick for Monki as well. He played this jungle Shen. I believe it was during the Split 2 playoffs of last year, if I am not mistaken. So still opportunities for switch ups to be had here for Team WE as the Shen gets locked in. We'll wait to see what the remainder of the draft looks like for Bilibili.
Alright, so no Rakan, or there is still a Rakan available.
It's banned.
Rakan's banned. You could go Xayah. I don't think Xayah is all that bad. We're going to go for Ziggs to match range. BLG have very low consistent damage. It is all on Cassiopeia. It is honestly a rather short-range composition, but one where Trundle Pillar plus Alistar is going to set up for the solo lanes and the laners of BLG for success. So this needs to be a game where Shun and On are very much in sync. We are getting an R5 Olaf here. This has to be going over to Monki. He's going to run it through the jungle and just run through this team. There is not enough consistent damage or burst versus this champion. I think we have WE in a very good spot going into match point.
It's once again the Monki show. He has to do a boatload of the damage when you have single target players like the Akali and more of a utility role in the Jhin until you get later into the game. It's all going to be about what Monki can do in this mid game. You can get some help from Erha with the Pop Blossoms. Cube's going to be able to dash in as well with the Stand United to help join the fights. But once again, it's WE absolutely leveraging their star player to the maximum in this game. We know that he's the Trundle guy. That means he knows the answers into the Trundle, and if there's anybody that can outduel a Trundle potentially in the early game, could be this Olaf.
I just think it's kind of weird. Like, I'm excited about what Olaf does to every other champion, not named Trundle. Trundle, I think, makes his life really, really hard. The fact that he can take away his AD is really problematic, and the pillar, while it won't slow him, is terrain. He has to walk around the pillar at the very least. So, could be dangerous. Could be a very dangerous gambit, one where it might see WE being sent to Game 5 here versus Bilibili Gaming. Our 8th seed from Group Ascend going up our #1 team.
Backs against the wall for BLG. Something we have not said in quite a while in a best-of-5 setting. They've played Game 5s, but they'll have to win this one to even get there in the first place on the Rift in Shenzhen. Oh my god.
They're doing it.
The crowd is
WE
turning.
Fans.
It's always interesting to think about because, right, WE, not been much success lately, especially compared to what BLG have been able to do. But they're one of the longest tenured organizations in Chinese League of Legends. They were playing in Season 1, Season 2. So they've got a bit of a loyal fan base, it seems.
They're the remaining vestige of a bygone era in terms of LPL. LGD is still here, EDG is here, but their fellow bandmates are gone. They have moved on or they've rebranded and taken new names, new faces. Can you believe, by the way, that BLG used to be IME?
I forgot about that.
I know. I got reminded the other day because I was talking to another former LPL person, and Christina. Not Christina of LPL, different person. They worked on LPL English, but yeah, I totally forgot that IME was not only in the league, but also here. It technically was BLG slot. Anyway, let's get into this game.
Was that the same year that WE made Worlds too in 2017, or am I tripping?
I think so. Yes, that sounds about right.
We can get our research team on that as we have early summoner spells already popped in the bottom lane. Viper goes for the Ziggs here, so a bit of an unorthodox play style for himself, although he's had success on it throughout his career. But it means that actually, Jhin and the Nico going to be able to get pushed. Speaking of push, that's what Knight has in the mid lane right now. Forces Karis down to 200 HP. That's
why this matchup is very tough. Gets easier on one item, especially with the Gunblade being able to hunt down this Cassiopeia. And as long as Knight gets to go even in this lane, you're going to be okay with the temperament of what this lane looks like for our two mid laners. But early jungle clears, it was just a full clear, and instead of going for the scuttles immediately, they just decided we're going to take recalls. We're going to just get ourselves some items we're not going to do for this, and potentially just go scuttle into full clear yet again.
Monki's having a good time so far in this early game. Erha making an early roam into the mid, trying to get a little bit of poke back onto Knight, who's able to control this wave beautifully in the early game. Karis not able to go too far forward, knowing that Shun could be here at a moment's notice, so they're bringing the entirety of the reinforcements to try to bail this Akali out on the chase. Pillar has already been issued here on to Karis, but he uses the Twilight Shroud to survive.
That's a crazy visual bug, by the way. For
yeah, I got
Pillar. I saw the animation and I was like, "Where's the pillar?" And I was like, "Oh,
it's
just
just
right
an
there."
insane cancel that Shun's able to do to bait a flash or something, but no, just a bug.
Yeah, just a visual bug. So, hey, I mean, they're already starting to get leads here, and we're already getting a lot of support roams, by the way. It's 4 minutes. I know that there was a change to the role quest where it kind of allowed for you to roam a little bit more, but guys, let's get a little bit more quest progress. So, it's an okay start. Just means that Karis is going to continue to fall behind at least a wave here. We'll see if that turns in anything meaningful, but Monki really just needs to farm. Get your items, get to your ultimate, and then we can start Ragnarok and rolling.
Early TP coming in from Knight, going to be caught up by Monki and Erha, who's also on the way. Pops the miasma, but Knight's already forced to flash away. Monki dives forward, and it's first blood again for Team WE. Shun now fighting in a 1v3. Monki's alive for a long time, but eventually gets taken down. Karis now going to be targeted by On, who lands a headbutt pull. Erha able to bail him out with the Tangle Barbs, and the Akali will live.
Super close. If Monki doesn't take that additional turret shot, maybe, just maybe, there's a way for them to turn that around, but they got the kill on the Knight. They'll trade it over. Both junglers getting the kills there. Feels good, and it's an extra first blood, so a little bit more gold going over to this Olaf. Exactly what the doctor ordered if you're a Team WE fan.
And so he will still be around in the bottom, in the mid lane, I should say. The supports now freed from their enchanter duties. They are here to impact all areas of the map from minute 1. Now that they are on these slightly different picks that are down the tier list in the meta, Erha has had a lot of success on this Nico pick specifically. Was one of his specialties when initially playing for Weibo last year. 10-7 on that champion, and that includes a loss that he had in the mid lane when he was a mid laner for AL Youth. So really, 10-6.
You say it as if the enchanters were the one roaming. Do you remember game 2 where
Seraphine
was just sitting mid and he was a full level, or is the Lulu into the Seraphine? He's like a full level down. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
These supports have been maniacs. I will admit.
A lot of games for BLG kind of revolve around Shun and On providing a lot of vision and information for Knight to play. He's a mechanically gifted player, and as long as you give him the space and the environment to thrive, he's going to find those angles. But now with the focus that they placed on mid, Karis gets to equalize this matchup, and now it's an early dragon here for WE, so already starting to make progress here in this game that can get very dangerous, I think, for BLG to try to play if they are even or even slightly behind on their opponents.
The first dragon gets picked up by Team WE. Monki's Olaf already proving to be very useful and will only continue to be just that as this game continues to progress. Take a look across the rest of the map. Currently CS advantage in favor of Bin. Cube definitely not picking this Shen for the lane, very much so for what it can be doing later on. Some more trading in the bottom lane as well, as On goes for a headbutt pull, and a little bit of poke onto a back, who gets chunked down to about 70%.
Does Monki favor a gank in this lane? He has topside camp spawning, so likely that's not going to be the case. That gets forced out of his flash. On doesn't have flash, which I think is very funny because he's decided to go for the unsealed spellbook. This is an interesting invade. I mean, you're playing Trundle, you have the ultimate, but Shen also has a stand united, so anywhere you think that there's a numbers advantage, you always gotta imagine there's a +1 there.
It's 2025 again. We're getting an 8-minute swap up to the top lane here for About and Erha to try to gain control of these grubs. You know, for Team WE, looking at the opposition, you see Trundle, you see Ziggs, there's a lot of turret pushing in that composition. I want to make sure they try to avoid having even more power given over to them in form of grubs.
And I think grubs is especially important in this kind of game where, yes, there's a Ziggs, but outside of him, a lot of champions in this game don't actually deal damage to structures. And with how low range WE is because of how many melees they have, it actually incentivizes them to go for grubs so that they can deal damage to structures and start to push the game. This ward, overtime. We need to pay this guy. This guy needs to be unionized immediately, if not yesterday, because that is an insane amount of information that they just got from that.
And that's going to push WE, or BLG away, I should say. Shun goes back finish off a Hearthbound Axe, and that means that all 3 of these grubs will go over to Team WE, perhaps unexpectedly in terms of what BLG thought was going to be happening at this point in the game.
Well, hey, you're getting yourself your lane experience, because role quest only matters for bot lane anyway, as long as there's 2 people in your lane. If you're 1 person, it's kind of meh, but as long as both of you are there, you're gonna get your experience. It's not, if I remember correctly, it isn't geographically locked. They just try to stop the early swaps because of if you had 2 people versus 1. That's where it becomes problematic, but that also turns off fairly early.
We'll do the BLG maintaining this Australian-style map. Shout out to Jay Betta on our LPL English broadcast team. Top laners duking it out on the bot side, still been holding an advantage, but it means that Monki is going to be able to continue to be a nuisance in the enemy jungle. We already have been taking the first dragon. The second one's going to spawn in 2 minutes. You'd imagine that is around the point where these waves will be, where these lanes should be reset.
I think it's super tough, by the way, now that there's ultimates in this game, for BLG to really look for anything on sides or individual picks. Like, On's looking. I mean, Flash is available here for Karis, who, instead of the Gunblade, opted for the Rocket Belt. An interesting piece of tech to try to avoid his opponent, but I think does make him have less kill threat in the lane. We'll see how this kind of pans out. But the point I was making beforehand is that it's a tense game. It's match point here for WE, and I think the tools that they have for team fighting are just a little bit more clear and a little bit easier for them to execute. And Channeled by itself, I think, is just an insane boon to have.
Yeah, I mean, you saw both, Bin and Viper use their TPs to get into their correct lane assignments. They're not going to be around. Bin specifically for this dragon. Cube has his TP on cooldown, but it doesn't really matter as much to him because he has that Stand United to join at basically any moment that he desires. And that could be a big role in about 50 seconds or so. You remember about this point last game, Hulk. WE had a numbers advantage because Bin saved his TP, or because Cube saved his TP, and ended up winning a huge fight that set the pace for how the rest of the game went.
Wins the next fight. Is it going to be for this dragon, or is it going to be for the Herald in 4 minutes, or maybe a timer in between the 2 of those? We saw that Bin and Viper just teleported to opposite sides of the map, kind of swapping themselves back into their original roles. And, I mean, if I'm looking item for item, band for band, I think I would want to be on WE's side. I mean, Experimental Hexblade is kind of hard to deny for an Olaf in terms of the value, but Trundle with Triforce and a Luden's Companion from Viper, it's fairly even in my mind.
We'll see who exactly wants to pull the trigger first. Again, the numbers will always be in WE's favor unless Bin starts walking down now. Teleport in from Karis. And Curtain Call open up onto Viper. If he lands a shot, Monki can potentially just chase him all the way down. He throws out the E to make sure he does not get targeted by Monki running it down. So now it'll just be WE gaining control of the bottom lane. Bin has made his way down. It looks like BLG want to fight this one.
More important than ever, BLG need to bring Knight to every single objective because their consistent damage isn't there. But with a Cassiopeia, those problems are solved. Erha's going to try to look for some kind of flank over the wall.
Oh, looking for a bout. He headbutts him right into Viper, forces a flash away from the Jhin. Force shot lands onto him, but the Unbreakable Will goes forward. In goes Nico with the Pop Blossom. Erha disguised, able to take down On. The Dragon will go in favor of BLG, but WE get a little bit more gold into their pockets.
No Stand United used by Cube. He's just going to walk back from base, gets himself the Titanic Hydra. I think a worthwhile trade there for BLG. You got yourself a dragon, you stopped your opponents. Also got the flash out from a bout. That could be someone that you can consistently target with long-range damage from the Ziggs, or even just a pick from Shun, Bin, or On. Get back into this game. It's only a slight gold lead here, and I think you can feel the tension. I think you can see how these teams are trying to maneuver around each other, maybe tell the tension that's in this game.
On to Erha, not going to be taken down with Herald spawning in 50 seconds. Karis and the rest of WE looking to make a play around Shun, who is going for an invade onto Monki's Raptors. Red buff going to be the next target. Cube has to be careful to not face check this, and he does so. Gets knocked up and headbutted right into the enemy team, but he taunts him 3. And a big chunk of damage comes through from Erha as well with the blooming blows. Forces BLG down about half health. Bin over the wall looking for a flank. Blast Cone will send him back to his team. In goes the undertow from Monki, who still has the Ragnarok available and finds a slow on to Shun. In he goes, pops it, and has to stand united by his side, trying to outduel the enemy jungler, and he will. Cube ends up getting the final kill. In goes Karis, assassinates Knight on the back line as well, and WE winning yet another team fight. A double kill in for Cube, looking for a triple as Bin should go down. It'll be Monki to claim it instead. And WE punish the over-aggression, and they'll win the fight around their red.
WE just got paid. I mean, Knight gets a kill. They killed the bot lane, but I'm looking at WE now with 1,000 gold, and Karis is just getting deadlier and deadlier. Monki is just climbing in gold here. Opens up a 1,500 gold lead for himself. Chen, man, double 3-man taunt. Flashes away. And that right there, by the way, that public execution from Bin, only possible because of the new nerfs to Mbessa on 26-9. A 0.7 second cast time means that Shen can just walk out of that. I'm looking at Knight on the opposite side. He gets so much value. Ults about, and Karis, and Erha. And they find the Nico.
Speaking of Erha, he might be dead. There he goes with the pillar, but now it's Monki once again fighting Knight. What is this game? Another 1v1 goes the way of the WE captain, who's now 4-1 on the Olaf.
They've just killed off Knight, and what else can we see from BLG? They're going for Herald at the same time, and Mbessa is sitting in this top lane. They're going to get the objective, and they even get the teleport out from Bin. A close game, but you can see the value of this Olaf champion, and he's just getting higher and higher. Cube!
Bin cancels the TP. It's going to make it much more difficult for this to be stolen away. Shun already grabs at the eye, not secured just yet. It being Karis, who dashes away with a perfect execution.
Wow.
The Herald actually gets spawned by On. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Looks like he's going to get into there, try to knock up some more players of Team WE. About has to run. They're going to find Monki instead with a knockup and get a chunk of damage with the turret place. They headbutt Monki back into the enemy team, but in comes Erha once again. Disguise, 2-man pop loss, and Shun is down. Karis finds Viper. In he goes with the Shuriken flip once again, and About lands the final blow for shot onto On, and the Alistar is down. Karis gets the kill. It's 10-4 WE.
And WE are making it happen. They are causing an upset here. They are looking to send the first seed into the lower bracket, and it is off of pocket picks from this team. We talked about comfort being king for them. Karis, after 3 games of having a Kali ban, gets it here in game number 4. And Anna, I just don't understand the thought process. You summoned down the Herald. That was your first mistake. You should have just left it at that. You were trying to make this play onto Monki, but he is too damn tanky. And Erha with a insane flank on the Nico.
Couldn't count the caster minions well enough. And then goes Karis again on his signature Akali. You see he waits out the preemptive pulverize from On to make sure he's able to finish both of those kills. That's why he plays this Akali, one of his best champions for this young Korean mid laner, over from the LCK Challenger scene. Karis really making a name for himself over these last 2 series, and trying to finish the job here in Game 4.
They can just stay underneath this turret. You see a lot of people moving into mid lane, but WE are first to the wave, and all of BLG are on the top side. They're in the river. They're trying to get Knight this turret in the top lane, but so many invested resources means they're not going to have time or the ability to move for this dragon. Karis is down a level, but I don't think it matters. I think he has the... Actually, Bin has quite a lot of shielding. Never mind.
Doing some damage.
Yeah.
Will mean that WE gets this second dragon. They're going to try to trade for BLG on the top side of the map, though. The tier 2 tower certainly going to eat a couple of plates. Cube not able to defend this in a 1v3, but Monki's able to get back to base quickly. Actually, no, that's Erha once again in disguise. I'm even getting baited by the minimap right now.
Biggest buff for Trundle in a long time was when they finally re-allowed him to apply Sheen procs and use his Q on turrets. When they added that back into the game, Trundle immediately skyrocketed. And with Trinity Force, he gets to destroy these structures, which is what we just saw, helping Knight get a couple more items. Another 0.7 second cooldown, or cast time there, so doesn't land the public execution. And let's see what Knight's items are going to look like, because he's already 6 minutes into his rod. he's getting closer to getting that Seraph's Embrace.
You wonder if that damage even will be enough, though, for BLG once they get to the late game. This Olaf and Shen going to be so powerful in terms of just soaking up frontline damage, especially without a traditional marksman available for BLG in this game. We saw Weibo and Elk play a similar composition with the Ziggs in the bottom lane to force a game 5 against LGD. Maybe BLG have similar ideas. Curtain call into the mid lane. Viper eats the first 2 shots, not the third, though, as Shen's there to body block. Tried to thread the needle. Was about not going to happen. This Mega Inferno Bomb also prevents the tower from going down.
Keep looking. Just sit on sides. I mean, I love how WE have played their assignments. Having Olaf constantly sit on the side of the Shen. In case Cassio ever decides to step too far up, you lose your flash, you kind of just die on the spot there. Once we get to objectives, we kind of talked about how BLG don't have a lot of consistent damage. I would say the same is here for WE, but Olaf is maybe a stand-in for the Cassio on their side. Jhin is never really going to do a ton, so for WE, they need time to kind of sit on any, whether it's a Baron or a Dragon, they need time to kind of get their damage down. It takes a while, so I don't really see a world where we see WE just start up an objective and try to burst it out. They're going to most likely want to bring their opponents into their Thunderdome and cause a ruckus after that.
1-13, Team WE hold a 1.2 thousand gold lead over the defending champions in what could be a series clinching game 4. Cube has rejoined with his team, avoiding the side lane for now, knowing that they want to make sure Monki is always safe to go for these invades to pick up even more CS, as he's now up almost 40 onto Shun in this game already. Bin now starting to hunt Cube out. We'll catch him out in the Tri-Brush. Chunk him down pretty low, but there shouldn't be too much reinforcements after that.
Once Shen finishes his second item, I said second item, I now realize he has a Kindle Gem and a Chain Vest. If this was Dusk and Dawn plus Titanic, I actually think he kind of 1v1s Bin in the side lanes. Without it, it's not going to be very likely. Dragon's coming up in a minute 40 here, Grapes. We have Summoner spells available for almost everybody, outside of Viper without his TP, but that's going to matter less. And this is a Dragon that is for Soul Point, and in my eyes, is kind of for the game, because you're already up 1,500 gold as Team WE. If you win this next fight, you get this Dragon, the game continues to spiral, and we're getting close to 3 items for some of these carries.
Can that damage be enough? I mean, again, these Ziggs comps are always interesting in theory, but to me, not having a consistent marksman feels very, very unusual in games like this, where you need to fight for these late game team fights. I mean, do you think that BLG have an avenue back in?
It's always possible. I mean, Knight has had kind of a barn burner of a series already. His Annie game was basically flawless for the most part, outside of that teleport that we were kind of going back and forth on. Game 1, again, he was the guy, and WE were still ending up winning on that one. So he has looked really good. He's just gotten focused a lot. And even with that focus, he's still up 800 gold here in this matchup. So if there's anybody I trust to kind of carry this, it has to be him. And if it's not going to be, then honestly, Viper is really strong. He's 2 items on this Ziggs. So there is a ton of potential for this BLG to still kind of rock it to WE.
Gonna have to come soon, though, as this Dragon is spawning in 15, and you don't want to give an Ocean Soul over to an Olaf team. That would just be an even higher mountain to climb if you are BLG. Teleport coming in early for Bin. They want to make sure they are fully set up, or it could be a tussle that ends all tussles. Here comes another TP. Bin finally arriving once again. Knock-up landing onto Monki, but not a lot of poke just yet. Bouncing bomb onto About, and that's going to be the formula for BLG to win out on this fight.
Karis can't get into this fight. We just saw Bin, who teleported, phased away this Akali. She is a big portion of this team's ability to get into the backline and disrupt what BLG want to do. Bin seems like he is going to match for now. Shen can just permanently side lane. He's got the Stand United. If Erha
Casio.
finds a flank, he has a flash here. On's gonna go look.
Monki's in there, but the Dragon is secured already by BLG. Pop Blossom finds two. They find a little bit of a route onto Viper. The Mega Inferno Bomb, though, able to take Erha down, and Bin's already in for a 1-for-1. Karis jumps forward. Public execution.
Oh my god,
Bin,
I'm out!
not going to connect, but Knight is still full HP. Lands the miasma and nearly takes Karis down, but he gets hit by the deadly flourish. And Monki, alongside About, will shut down the main carry of BLG. The curtain call will come out, and the second shot finds the final kill of the fight. It is a 4-for-1 once again in favor of Team WE.
But they got the Dragon. BLG, that's as good as it's going to get. You will not have to face down the barrel of an Ocean Soul here. In 5 minutes, you get time to breathe there. Shun also survived. WE were more excited about grabbing kills and finalizing Shun, who flashed into the pit of the Dragon instead of out into the red side of his jungle. BLG lose the fight, take the objective. Right now, WE are playing on a knife's edge. We saw how favorable that scenario was for them. Imagine if Akali was able to get even more out of that fight. Right now, BLG are starting to crumble. You can see that this Casio is becoming less and less tenable for her to really lay down the law and sit and just put down her spells. Erha on this Nico has been near flawless, I think.
Yeah, setting up for the taunt for Karis to assassinate Viper. Monki didn't even have to do too much in this fight. Bin really feeling the nerfs of the Mbessa in this game.
Yeah. Bin has had a couple of Mbessa games now where I'm kind of questioning it. He kind of got himself back the Mbessa pass halfway through the split, but I think the nerfs that we have seen to this champion, the timing just isn't there, and it really means that Mbessa is a champion that requires others to help her. She needs guaranteed crowd control for her ult to land. Otherwise, it is, I think, on 0 ping, near impossible as long as flashes are available. And that's what we saw from About. Flash to the side, didn't get hit with the public execution. And look, BLG get to breathe another day. They got the Dragon. I think that's the most important part.
But how do they approach the remainder of this game? Still being down 3,000 gold. It's a third item completed as Viper goes for a little bit more of a defensive orientation with the Rocket Belt. Get away from any of the dive that WE have in their hands. Knight getting close to a Leandri's as well. Once these carries hit 3 items, I can agree with you. That is a strong point for BLG. They just haven't gotten there yet.
It's got to be careful. I mean, you're playing Alistar, yes. Not level 11. Another ultimate Bin! Okay, you know what? That one's maybe my fault, because I did say during the draft that Pillar is going to help set up for the public execution. So, I'll take that one. That one, I'll tank that for you, Bin. That's my fault. The next one, though, that one's on you.
There's some dis-synergy, though, from players that have been together for quite a while, albeit non-consecutively between Bin and Shun. Basically, the Pillar took him away from the public execution skill shot angle, so I don't know.
Maybe they shouldn't have separated them. Maybe you should not have gone to JDG.
I think they all agree that would have been the right move.
I think after last year's results, tend to agree. And look, if Shun never went to JDG, maybe we'd still have Scout in the league. And Pays. Probably not Pays, but whatever. Alright, Viper likely is going to be able to live. Yeah, On will also come and try to save him. It's all for a fight around the blue buff, but Dragon spawns in a minute, and I like the idea.
Monki pops the Ragnarok and baits out the headbutt pulled from On.
Boom.
The Unbreakable Will might not even matter, as in goes Cube as well to take the cow down. Bin on the back line, though, nearly assassinates Erha and is now in a 1v1 against About. Has to dash away as Monki's here to reinforce. Deadly Flourish is dodged away from Bin, comes the public execution. Bin looking to try to 1v9, and he's able to get 2 kills already. About's down, and Erha is at 200 HP, and Shun looking to chase him down. Karis comes in with the public execution, forces Bin to dash away at 200 HP. Erha somehow still alive. In goes the Shuriken flip, and Karis able to live still under the Twilight Shroud. But Knight's now in to finish off the fight. One more Twin Fang on the Karis should do it, but the bouncing bomb might do it all the same. Everyone on WE is so low. In goes one more Satchel for Viper to seal the deal.
Viper, I have needed to see you here in this series. You've had on moments, you've had off moments, but this needs to be a game that you win if you want to keep your life here in the upper bracket alive. Dragon spawns now, and look at the disparity. No summoner spells for Viper, no flash for the Sakali, and still long death timers BLG might put themselves on sole point after what was supposed to be just one pick onto this Alistar.
It was a bait and then a switch for BLG as they ended up getting exactly what they wanted out of that fight. Now Knight's back in with a TP, but so is Cube as the Dragon is up and ready. They have Shun on the way. Looks like Monkey's actually going back to base, so they're going to give this one up. It'll be sole point in for Bilibili as W are happy enough burning those summoner spells.
That fight, we might come back to that. That might be an inflection point, as I like to say. We'll come back to that point as to whether or not it was worth for them to find that. It delays their Dragon sole point. It means that we're going to at least see 6 dragons in this game. Maybe even the number that comes after it. So,
good.
It means more time in the game, and I mean, there's pros and cons for both teams. Like, I talked about Jin being one of the best champions on 4 and 5 items. Well, looks like he's going to go for RFC. Doesn't have an Infinity Edge yet, so basically we're pushing that down to 5. I think Viper is incredibly strong right now. Same with Knight.
On gets locked up again, though. Has to once more prematurely proc the Unbreakable
Oh,
Will. The headbutt doesn't do anything against the Ragnarok. Already a flash burn by the cow. Gets hit up by the curtain call. 4-shot not connected, but On will still live. Cube now with the flash on out. And the petrifying gaze comes through from Knight. Erha back in with the Pop Blossom, but it will not do anything as Knight is now unleashed here in this game. 4 gets another kill. A second onto the Olaf. And Bin will chase Karis out of the picture. 3 kills for none for BLG.
10-10 erupts as the fans see BLG rally behind the solo lanes. Bin and Knight make it happen. They win the fight. They grab the Baron. They might have just saved themselves in this series. They might have just sent us here to Game 5 with a few mistakes from Team WE. Monki, yet again, trying to go for this. I want to look back at this fight because there's a couple of things that kind of go in favor. One, about an Erha just can't walk in here. Monki is completely separated. You can see how much damage. Look at what's happening in this corridor right now. Knight just gets to throw all of these Twin Fangs, all of this miasma. And the ultimate from behind is great, but there's just no damage. About cannot get in. Karis cannot get in, and you need these members if you want to try to take down BLG.
They crowned him the MVP just a few hours ago in this very arena. They had him sat down in a chair that is synonymous with legendary gamers in the esports world. And Knight is trying to bring his team back from the brink in the first round of the LPL playoffs. I can hear it. It's on its way. The Silver Scrapes are approaching Alk, and I don't think we can avoid it.
Honestly, Grapes, that's up to WE now. That is in WE's hands whether or not they want the Silver Scrapes here or not. It's game number 5 on the cards if BLG were here to win this one. A lot of mid-game mistakes from them, and this Olaf just finished himself a Spirit Visage. He's getting it closer to what looks to be a Knight's, or not a Knight's Vow, but a Guardian Angel. And the rest of the damage needs to be there. I'll be honest here, Grapes, I really wish there was not a Youmuu's here in this game for the Jin. If he had Infinity Edge right now, this would be a Jin that I am actually afraid of. But by taking the pit stop, he delays his item. He now has to go to 5 items to be like the relevant AD carry, I think, in this game.
About's build is when you look up useless Jin builds in a dictionary, that's what pops up. It's these.
Well, he also
items.
built Collector on Corki in that last game, and he still won. So I don't know what to believe anymore.
I mean, you hear a lot of hate for this champion. It can be valuable in certain situations, but you have to build damage, and that's not what About is doing. He's going for more of the pea shooter. It becomes valuable once you hit that 6 item mark, but we're not.
Oh my God, he has
a
Dirk in his item. He's not even going Infinity Edge. Get me out. Get me out.
I mean,
We're going
honestly,
to game
like,
5.
the way About's been playing, how safe he has been, it might even be like an Edge of Night locked in for him next to make sure he doesn't get away. He doesn't get hit up by some of these long-range abilities. How much value will that provide? Only time will tell. But he'll need it sooner rather than later with this Soul Dragon for BLG spawning in less than a minute.
BLG continuing to kind of lead and rally behind the lanes. Knight is continuing to be a force to be reckoned with in this series. Almost single-handedly, I think, propping up this BLG team here in this series. You guys we're not losing this. I'm not going down to the lower bracket, not without kicking and screaming my way down. 30 seconds, and now it is soul point here for BLG if they can acquire it. The soul being completed in 30 seconds if they can have it. Looks like their solo lanes will have to TP back in, and how do WE problem solve from this scenario? I mean, Flash is coming up for about. Monki does not have Flash. Shen does not have Flash. They're going to need to walk and run straight into this backline. Kill Knight first. And that might be a problem with the fact that he has 3,000 HP.
Yeah, the way that BLG have their composition set up, if they can just hold this position, it'll be a good fight for them. You see Karis on the back line and Monki looking to try to enter the picture with his Ragnarok. He has to pop it early after the initial knockup comes through from On. In goes the Stand United, but it's only on the Alistar at this point, and Karis just has to sit in the Twilight Shroud and watch the rest of BLG kill the rest of his team. In goes Bin, forces the Pop Blossom early, and Monki is going to drop sooner rather than later. Finally, Bin finishes the job, and it's a 2-for-0 plus the Dragon Soul going over to Bilibili Gaming.
And that's BLG sending us to Game 5 there. I just don't understand from Monki. We're targeting the Alistar 4 fights in a row here. It's not worth it. You need to kill Knight. You need to kill Viper. And now they've completely lost the plot here in this Game 4. They've lost the ability to deal meaningful damage. And Erha, we had the Flash. Why are we looking here? Did we just kind of feel all out of sorts? Maybe feeling desperate here, trying to claw for what we said was history in the making.
It's still 2 members down for the next 15 seconds, and Bin is on the way. BLG might try to end this game right now. You see Karis waiting on the flank. The time has to be now. In they go on to the next his turrets. First one already gone down. In goes Karis trying to assassinate Viper. He should be able to get him with the perfect execution, but the Ocean Soul keeps him alive. In goes Shun. He's going to get taken down eventually as the respawn timers have come through. Cube lands a big taunt. The curtain call will take down Viper. Erha with a Pop Blossom finds 2. And Knight trying to 2v5 alongside Bin, but I don't know if it'll happen just yet. In they go on to the Cassiopeia. Karis gets him. Knight goes golden, but it might not be enough. From death's door to the enemy nexus, WE are gonna TP into the bottom lane.
No way are they winning this game. Look at this. They have 3 grubs, but do they have the minions for it? There's a super minion wave in mid lane right now. Long as hell death timers. 20 seconds for On, 30 before Viper, 20 before Shun. This could be it. This could be WE sending the first seed down to the lower bracket.
BLG won first stand, won the LPL, but they might not win against the 1-13 team WE. Today, they are the world's elite. On's up in 2, but the Nexus towers are under fire. Erha waiting to block him out, but it will not be enough. The upset of all upsets. WE take down BLG.
Holy crap, man. Let's go. 3-1. Not even a 5th game. This is history. This is the LPL, and this is an upset for the ages. The number 1 seed is in the lower bracket to start off the playoffs.
Team WE, doubted from minute 1. Ever since they won their first series after Split 1 to get into Group Ascent, nobody believed in this team. They were regarded as one of the worst in the entire LPL. But here they are, standing tall over your most recent international champion, the de facto best team in the world. They send Bilibili down to the lower bracket, and it's 2021 all over again.
Dude. This is nuts. This is nuts.
WE have won as many games in the playoffs so far than they did the entirety of the regular season. It was 6 throughout 14 matches, and it's 6 here in 2. Monki, just the captain, the heartbeat of this team. Cube and Karis, core members as well up in the solo lanes. And this is nothing that we could have potentially expected here tonight, Alk.
No, this is an insane run, by the way. 3-2 against LNG. 3-1 now against BLG, and now they have a date with AL in a couple of days' time. Incredible. Just incredible. Great play. I had my doubts. We were literally talking about it as if we were going to Game 5 already. That was an Ocean Soul for BLG, and they lost with it.
That's just the LPL for you. You never know what you're going to get. Like a box of chocolates, every piece, each new, original, and organic. And that is what we had here today. Team WE doing something we have never seen before. And pulling out an 8-1 upset against a team that BLG selected first to be their opponent. And you know that makes it feel even the better for them.
BLG chose this team, by the way. As the first seed, you get to choose your opponent for playoffs. They chose WE. This feels like karmic justice, and we said the superstitions. First they pick WE. They're the first team All-Pro. Knight is the split MVP. This is going down in history. They are never doing this again. Not only BLG are never doing this again, the LPL broadcasts are never choosing the first team to be the All-Pro first team as well. This is just never happening ever again.
And that's BLG's first LPL playoff best-of-5 loss in about a year, I should say. Their first best-of-5 loss since MSI. This is unspeakable territory here for this team. We were about to crown them as just immediate MSI representatives, and this bracket all got flipped right upon its head. One of these teams up in the upper bracket, JDG, Top Esports, AL, and WE, will be representing the LPL at MSI in just in a week's time from today.
Dude, imagine the darkest timeline is that Erha gets to go to MSI before any of Weibo do. That would be legendary. That would be legendary, bro. That would be great if, like, first game at MSI, he goes up, you see the Weibo emote come up over his head. That would be incredibly based. But that's for a later time, you know, long time. It'll be at least a week and a half, 2 weeks before we see WE maybe contesting for a crown here. But kind of going over that game, BLG definitely looked really weak. It seemed like they were still testing out like what their prios were going to be on 2610 on the new patch. They definitely looked a little bit rusty. Knight had an okay series, but the rest of the other teams, the rest of the other players, I mean, Bin in some of these games just didn't have the same impact. Shun kind of looked lost in some of these games. Like, I remember that Vi game from the very start of the series, near invisible. And Viper, off these 80 carries, I wonder if that Lucian ban is something that they maybe want to come back to. Because Lucian Melio was something that we saw Viper and On just pilot to massive success at the end of the season.
And About and Erha were like 0-4 on Lucian Melio lanes this season as well. So it wasn't necessarily something that they were particularly comfortable on. It was a questionable decision. You know, BLG is going to have unlimited time to go back and reflect on things here. But for now, they're going to be down in the lower bracket. Maybe this is a learning opportunity for them. They'll get to play a lot of games to try to get back to MSI, to get back to an international. But for a team that was nearly infallible in many people's eyes, entering Split 2, having won first stand, and having won the LPL in dominating fashion, it's pretty insane that this has happened. BLG were in WE's base 3 times out of the 4 games, and they lost 2 of them.
Just nuts. Congratulations to WE. And I think it is so different, by the way. 4 hours ago, we're doing the pre-show, and I'm very, like, incredulously laughing off WE of saying, it'll be a quick series. They're not going to win tonight. They're not going to do it. But game 1, I already felt the energy there. Look at this gold grab.
Shivin, can we pull up the blue shell meme again? Because it just happened. It happened again.
It actually just happened.
They took down TES, the defending champions in the first seed, last split in Split 2 in the lower bracket. This time they take down BLG in the upper.
Maybe
Let's take a look at some of the highlights, actually. Yeah,
Maybe it is just
Split 2. Split 2 is a different opens a different beast for Team WE seemingly. They got top 4 last split. They're guaranteed at least top 6 now. If they win one more, they'll be guaranteed top 3.
Dude. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I am so excited. This playoffs is the best that we have had in a very long time. I think last year we got a lot of really high quality best of 5s between like Top Esports and like BLG, AL versus BLG. We got a lot of really high stakes. This is just the playoffs where everything you thought possible goes to the wayside. The Nirvana teams are winning versus legacy organizations in the Group Ascend. WE are beating, the 8th seed is beating up on the 1st seed. This is the biggest upset in LPL playoffs history. Just crazy.
No fact
crazy
checking.
Stuff.
No fact checking necessary. Somebody can.
I don't care, man. Look, lying has been OP in the public domain for like the last 8 years. So I'm just gonna say it, and if anybody wants to fact check me, go in the community Discord.
It can be a little misleading because W is in the higher group despite being 1-13, but they look dead in the water for much of Split 2. Like, let's not get that wrong. They were not playing very many competitive games in the first half of the round robin. The second round robin, they started to scale up, and obviously they have scaled up to a much higher level at this point to be able to take a 5-game series against BLG. Their only opponent left is, I think, one of the only teams that they did not get a game off of all year long, and that is anyone's legend in the upper semis.
There's so many things at play here. Like, the
Let's
fact that WE
By the
had
way,
Oceans... What's up?
Bin backed after taking the Dragon and was late to this play. I don't know if that would have mattered too much, but that's another mistake or something that BLG will have to consider here.
Another optimization. Also, the fact that they let Viper die here... I don't know if he lives, but Ocean Soul Regeneration is really powerful. And the damage that he's able to do, just a lot of mistakes that we have seen from BLG. And it's not like their late games have been incredible. I mean, just in their last series of the regular season versus Top Esports, they almost kind of lost that game number 2 versus them, and they would have sent themselves to game 3. AL, very similarly, they got to do it with their bot lane duo doing all the work, and the blue shell finally comes on through. There's no super horn. There's nothing to protect them. WE have taken out the 1st seed yet again in Split 2 playoffs.
Here's the thing, though. You could be in 8th place, you throw the blue shell, it knocks BLG, it knocks the leader down. There's still 6 more people that they got to get past in order to make it all the way over to an LPL championship, which would be absolutely absurd. We're getting way too ahead of ourselves at this point, but let's take a look at our updated playoff bracket at the conclusion of the upper quarterfinals. JDG taking on Top Esports, always a classic. I believe that'll be tomorrow. And then the day after that, it'll be WE heading right back in to take on anyone's legend.
Yeah. JDG Top Esports is tomorrow. The day after that is ALWE, and then we get our lower bracket stuff. Dude, EDG is so mad right now. They're like, what did we do, bro? What'd you say? What'd you say screw me for, bro? Like, what's going on over here? And then, by the way, if BLG win versus EDG, they then have to face up against either JDG or Top Esports.
Wow,
so,
one of those teams is going to end 5th, 6th.
Yes, this is going to be a lower bracket run, potentially, for BLG if they want to make it back to the grand finals. By the way, Grapes, I am not feeling too confident about my prediction of BLG losing less than 4 games. That is not looking good right now. They have to go essentially undefeated for the rest of these playoffs.
Oh, man. I mean, for a team like TS, the pressure even adds up more going into tomorrow now, because the way your Split 1 went, also not ending up in a very good spot, if you have back-to-back 5th, 6th finishes, as a team that's trying to contend for Worlds, it makes things very difficult in terms of contention the rest of the way.
Yeah. Other notes, again, this is the first team to beat this version of BLG in a best of 5 all year, and even going back to last year, as you were mentioning. So, just nuts. Just incredible. Congratulations again to Team WE. Well deserved. They came back from a lot of spots that I think a lot of other teams would have just crumbled and just would have lost. And it is just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing that we got this result tonight.
What a way to wrap up the upper quarterfinals and to wrap up our final double best of 5 day here on LPL English for the remainder of Split 2. It'll be 1 series a day the rest of the way until we get to our lower finals and finals. We'll have a little bit of a break in between that as our teams will go off in transit. But same time as per usual, as we are shifting back to our normal time slot, 2 a.m. Pacific, 5 a.m. Eastern, I believe it's 11 a.m. over in Europe is where you will see our teams play here in the LPL playoffs. JDG Top Esports will be tomorrow, and WE up against Anyone's Legend will be next. Before we head out, we want to give a big thank you to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron, Soup, and Mung, as their pledged financial contributions help level up the cast and crew and give back to the broadcasts who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day those streams turn on. On behalf of our entire production staff here, the moderators, the social media managers, Shivam behind the desk, Alk, our casters from earlier, and Gordo and Covey, my name is Grapes. Thank you so much for tuning in to another day of LPL English. The final score today, a stunning upset, 3-1 in favor of Team WE over Bilibili Gaming. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow for JDG Top Esports.